Hello class, this is the second exam video review, and let's get started. Make sure that you're aware of what the #1 killer of young adults in the United States is. What are the controllable and uncontrollable factors that can lead to unintentional injuries, and which things are not factors? Of the following causes of unintentional injuries, which results in the most deaths among young people? Bicycle accidents or automobile accidents, motorcycle accidents, work accidents. Which one of those do you think causes unintentional injury, results in the most death among young people? Make sure you're aware of speeding and the results of not following the proper speed limits, and the most dangerous of the distracted driving behaviors, and what factors lead to aggressive behavior, and which things are not necessarily factors in leading to aggressive behavior while driving. What do you think, from your readings, the correct percentages in terms of car crashes linked to alcohol consumption? What happens if someone is driving and they encounter hail? Is there something specifically you should be doing when it's raining or hailing or snowing outside? What is the safe distance to be driving behind somebody in these kinds of conditions? And what might be a good choice based on some of the options you see on your exam to do during those types of conditions? Should you speed up to get through the storm or make a phone call? Slow down? Should you tailgate? What's the best option? What is the most important advancement in airbag safety since 2007? What is the best type of car seat for children under 2 and older than 2? There was a story in the chapter related to Caleb, C-A-L-E-B. It's a student story. And based on your reading, what circumstance led to this accident? And what safety precaution could he have taken that would have prevented him from sustaining injuries? What is electronic stability control? And what is the most prevalent type of death with regards to bicycle accidents in terms of what is it attributed to? Is it spinal injuries, neck injuries, head injuries, abdominal injuries, broken wrists, dislocated knees, elbow injuries? What is the highest percentage of bicycle accident deaths attributed to? And what are the most unsafe riding habits when it comes to riding a bicycle? What are the age groups or age group that is most likely to be a victim of a fatal or a non-fatal fall? And as far as poisoning goes from drug overdoses over the past 40 years, is most attributed to what behavior? What contributes to residential fires? What is most important in terms of an emergency supply kit containing non-perishable foods and water. How long should that last if you have that in your car or in your home? If someone's at a restaurant and they see someone coughing after choking on food, what should they do? And in terms of firearm safety, what is the safest way to store a firearm? And people over 15 years of age drown in which way, in which setting the most? What type of occupation incurs carpal tunnel syndrome the most, as well as repetitive strain injuries? Results in what type of pain or permanent damage? Remember, it could be more than one answer. In terms of RSI, repetitive strain injuries, which types of behaviors should people avoid? Back injuries on the job are most often the result of what type of action or behavior, or incorrect preventative decisions? Major violent crimes in the U.S. are what type? In 2008, which type of violent crime involved a gun in over half the cases? Was it murder, aggravated assault, rape, or robbery? Who's most likely to suffer a violent crime? What are the most prevalent factors linked to higher rates of violent crime? Or what several factors have been linked to higher rates of violent crime? What does research show with regards to people playing video games in terms of violence? And what type of crimes are gangs most likely to be involved in? Do gangs commit as much as 80% of crime within some communities, or do gangs become more active in rural and suburban areas? Do gangs seem appealing to youth in distressed neighborhoods? Are women represented in gangs due to gender inequality? Which one of those statements is most true? What did the mass shootings at Columbine High School and Virginia Tech years ago lead to? Did it help with emergency response? Did it help with new safety services for students? Did it upgrade communication systems on campuses? Or did it increase crime rates on elementary, middle, and high school campuses since 1994 or 2004? What type of legislation requires colleges and universities to disclose their crime statistics? Is it an act or a law, and what is it called? What are the majority of hate crimes targeting in terms of a person's sexual orientation or ethnicity, religious beliefs, or race? What type of violence is terrorism? And with regards to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, how do they work to combat terrorism? Do they negotiate? Do they suspend immigration? Do they reduce their ability to win public support? Or do they arm citizen militias? How does terrorism disproportionately affect young adults, older adults, children, and middle-aged adults? In terms of abuse in a family or intimate relationship, what is the most common theme with regards to the abuser's need? If somebody is constantly putting down another person, this is an example of what type of abuse. And victims who stay in abusive relationships are likely to do so for what reasons, and what reasons do they not stay in abusive relationships? And in terms of the cycle of domestic partner abuse, it begins with what type of behavior? There was a story in the student story, one of the stories with regards to Jenny in terms of the student story in this chapter. If you remember reading about that, what was the first sign of control that Jenny's boyfriend demonstrated? And with regards to the story, what was the turning point in the relationship? Once Dana broke up with her boyfriend, he continued to call her and send her emails several times a day. What type of abuse or harassment or stalking is this called? What age group is the highest rate of child abuse? What is sexual harassment? Are there different types of sexual harassment? What factors are true with regards to date rape drugs? What do they include? How are they administered? What happens after the victim takes or is submitted to consuming a date rape drug unbeknownst to them? Can they cause them to be weak or confused? In terms of yelling, screaming, or fighting, as it regards to a sexual attacker, are those effective in certain situations? If your attacker is a stranger, or if they're unarmed, if you know your attacker, or you're in a location where you may be able to escape, how do those factor in? And that concludes the video review for examination 2, and I wish all of you the best of luck.